Okay, I think I'm live now. Let's see. I'm gonna try to figure out how to post this link to Twitter. Let's see. Click that. Let's have a look and see what that does. Sorry, hey, welcome. Just trying to figure out how to do this. So I finally got set up here. Trying to post a URL to see if it's I can put it on Twitter. Give me 1 second. I'm gonna have to ask my son how to do this. Hold on. Oh, there we go. I see it at the bottom here. All right, I'm gonna put this on Twitter, and we'll get started. Okay. All right, so I'm just going to get started going through the charts. Yesterday, I was experimenting and I couldn't go live because YouTube takes 24 hours to get set up. I don't think I'm going to post to Twitter while I'm doing the video. I thought it was a good idea, but I started losing my train of thought. So I'm just going to go through the charts, and then I'm going to start a timer right now. I'm going to keep it less than 10 minutes because I know I don't like watching anything over 10 minutes to stay concentrated. So I'm just going to go through this, a couple of these charts, and we'll see how we are in 10 minutes. So this is my basic watch list here in Thinkorswim. You don't, as far as I know, you don't need to pay any money to have Thinkorswim. You just need to open an account with TD Ameritrade. So, and I don't think they have any minimum requirements. So Thinkorswim, I think, is the best for just about anything for retail trading. Just kind of take a look. Today was an interesting day. You know, kind of everything was gapping down this morning, and it looked like there was an attempt to buy the dip this morning, but not much really came of it. A lot of things faded back. There was a few strong names. You can see here what I like about the watch list is you can see what was green today. So you can see kind of a lot of these Dow stocks were green. A lot of the FANG stocks were red today. I think Amazon down 25, which isn't really that much down, but it's still a pretty rough day if you're long. But you can here see the diamonds. So the Dow was up today. So I was gonna go through a couple of these. I don't really watch the DIA that much. I'm gonna skip over SPX, but the SPY was interesting. It ended up completely flat on the day this month. So you can see the last month looked like we might get a continuation up, but we're coming down. It's already tested the low end of that range, and we'll see what it does going forward. The weekly, we had a red week last week. Now it looks like we're reversing this week. And on the daily, this is interesting. So it did put a reversal. This is the I basically go green, yellow, red, and then the pink here is the 200-day, but the 50-day is the red. So you can see it put in a nice like reversal hammer here at the end of the day today, and so that shows potential for reversal. But you can see the bright moving averages, the bright green and the bright yellow, are showing a crossover, right? So the 5 just crossed over the 10 to the downside. So it's got a lot of work to do if it wants to come back up. It's not to say it can't do it, and the moving averages don't tell you where they're going to go. I mean, the price is going to do what it's going to do. So anyway, to see where it closed, I trade hourlies primarily and off the dailies. The weeklies and the monthlies just kind of give me an idea of trend, and then I trade off of the hourlies. It's easier from trading from work because you have time to try to catch a 3-minute bar or a 1 minute or 2 minute. It's just, in my opinion, it's just almost impossible to do. So here, you can see the SPY at the end of the day. Put in the rules. If you're over the VWAP, you can look for longs. If you're under it, you can look for shorts. And then where the futures are pointing is what you would want to do, go long or short. So here, I wouldn't really do anything with the SPY, so we just have to see how it goes in the morning. I mean, it could go down, but it could bounce off the VWAP and go up, so I mean, you don't really know. So to the Qs, they've been getting beat up a lot more. So now you have, your reddish inside hammer, right? So if anybody has questions later, you can ask me about inside. I mean, these are my favorite things to trade, and hammers and shooters too. But anyway, you can see it went inside red hammer last month, and then it broke that to the downside. So when it broke that to the downside, now you're looking at that's a downside break on the month. So that's pretty significant. And then you can see here on the weeklies are just red so far, and then now on the dailies, you're kind of in no man's land, right? So I couldn't tell you if this thing, I mean, I can't tell you if it's ever going up or down, but here, kind of in no man's land. So, and again, it kind of closed the day very similar to the SPY. Okay, so let's look at Facebook. I got 5 minutes and 33 seconds here. So I'm not going to go through all these stocks. I will scan through them later and post anything interesting to Twitter, but I just kind of wanted to show you what I look at. And so here you can see Facebook has, ever since it lost on earnings, has been pretty downward trending. You can see even on the monthlies, the moving averages are crossing over, red on the month. So far this week, it's not really a big week, it's only one day, so obviously it finished green. Well, it didn't finish green today, but it finished up from its lows today. So yeah, so we'll see what it does here. But I think I talked about this in the video yesterday. This ADX here, I learned this from Mr. Jeff Cooper and the DI from his book, and the DI plus and the DI minus. I just look at that on the weekly to look for trends. So the ADX is creeping over 50%, and the red is higher than the green. So the minus is higher than the plus, which means we're downtrending, right? So I look for short setups. And there was a great short setup today on the hourly. I'll show that to you right here. The daily, you can see it just kind of went green a little bit. But here on the hourly, and I posted it earlier today, I was at a meeting, unfortunately, but here inside 60, this was the inside 60 today, and then it broke to the downside and just under the VWAP, right? Futures were pointing down, VIX was pointing up. I mean, boom, it was like, what was that? The low there is 156.27, and it went to 154.39. So I mean, that was 2 points in an hour, or less than an hour, which is pretty good if you're doing options on those. Facebook and Apple are my two favorite, FANG stocks to trade options with, because they're a little bit more liquid, and you're not going to get crushed like you might on like if you have the wrong decision on like Amazon or Google, because those I mean, Nvidia and Netflix can crush you too, but you can really make a lot of money on those too. But Amazon and Google are tough. I'm not even going to look at those tonight because they're really hard to trade. They're interesting to look at, but really hard to trade unless you're okay with dollar spreads, which I'm not. Anyway, so is Facebook. Let's take a look at Apple real quick. Apple's kind of hanging in there, consolidating. It was on the monthly, kind of put in a red hammer. Now it's kind of in the middle of the range there. And the weeklies, you can see, look, ADX is high, green is higher than the red on these, so this thing is still uptrending. It's got earnings coming up on the 29th, and I don't know if we're inside a week this week. No, not quite. But anyway, looks constructive. So had a good rebound today, stayed relatively strong. The hourly, I didn't like how it closed. I was watching that at the close looking for overnights, and yeah, it closed with like kind of a red shooter, but I think it's up after hours ish. No, not really. It's about bids 223.75, so not really. Anyway, we'll see what it does in the morning. Amazon I'm going to skip, even though it's cool to look at. Netflix is fun to trade, so that is, the monthlies were obviously red on the month, but the week is turning green because it's Monday. And decent reversal there, but it's in the middle of the range there too, between the 50 and the 200, so it really could go either way. So, but I did like how it finished on the hourlies, and went inside 60 over the VWAP. So for me, trading the open, this is something I might, if I'm not too busy in the morning, that I can do. And the way I look at it, that'll alert me in the morning if it breaks the inside 60 to the upside over the VWAP, The range there is 219, so you have to look at your risk would be at the bottom, your stop would be at the bottom of that bar. So you're risking $2.19. It's risky, but Netflix can move if the market gets a bid. And it's over the VWAP, so if we have a good open, could be good. Take a look at NVIDIA real quick. Right on the month, it had an awesome start to the month, right? It put in that green hammer, which is great. It shot up, which was awesome, and now it's way down. But that could give buying opportunities too. Flat on the week, no real trend, and look at that. It basically closed right on the 50-day moving average, actually right below it. So we'll see what it does tomorrow. But I think this one put it, yeah. Wait, let me look at how high that was. 61, 51. Yep, so it did put it inside 60. That'll be interesting to watch too in the morning. So I usually just put like a little alert on it. Google, I'm not going to look at. Microsoft, great to trade. Really reasonable if you can catch a good move on it. AMD's been good. AMD's been coming back down. See how it's like on the dailies, it went up and went down. So it's kind of downtrending right now. You can see here their trend. The red's about to cross over at the green. So if this thing goes down further, it could go almost at the 50-day today. And look at that. That is a good setup right there. Inside 60, shooter, under the VWAP. So if the market is looking weak at the open tomorrow, this could, as long as it's not gapping down too much, it could be a good opening trade. And I'll just take a look at Twitter, and then I'll be done because there's 25 seconds left in my 10-minute time limit, self-inflicted. AMD inside month. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's also good to know. Anyway, Twitter is, you can see on the monthly, is curling back around. Not a lot of movement this month so far. The weekly shaping, still kind of consolidating downward. I'm looking at the consolidation there. I mean, who knows what it's going to do? It should be interesting for earnings. Anyway, consolidate. Let's see what it did on the hourlies. The hourlies inside 60, pretty constructive over the VWAP. So we'll see how that behaves in the morning. That kind of goes through those. I'll go through the rest of these tonight and post some anything that looks interesting on Twitter, and so everybody can get information. So that's basically how I go through charts. I just go through those, and like I said, when I'm working, I try to trade the open. If I have a free moment during the day, my favorite kind of time frame to trade is the 11:30 time frame, because like that you get that the first 60 is over, the next 60 can give you some indication, and you can trade after that. I like to trade that. I like to trade 2:30 and then the close. So those are my favorite time frames. So that's what I got. Hopefully this live stream came through clear. I'd like to be able to save it if possible. Now, if anybody has any questions, they can post them to the chat, and I'm happy to answer if you can hear me. And next time, if you ever jump in, just go ahead and you can write questions while I'm talking, and then I'll just answer them. Let's go through them and answer them at the end. If nobody has any questions, that's cool too. But I'm happy to answer anything about like when I started trading, why, how I learned what I learned, stuff like that. And I'm still learning, big time. And but I've gotten to the point where I used to think that you trade in the stock market, it's just to make tons of money. But really, I heard once it's just to become consistent. I think if you become consistent, you can start making little bit by little bit and not put too much risk on. And so that's what I've kind of learned so far. So I mean, make a little bit of money. I made about like $500 last week. So I mean that pays some bills, and but one day might be 400. I think I made like $5 one day last week. So, but as long as you're making money and being consistent and patient and managing your risk, I think in the long term you can be successful. Otherwise, you're going to push too hard and get caught up in something that you're uncomfortable with, and it makes trading really difficult. So that is all I've got. Oh, I got a question. Cool. Let's see. Thanks for your analysis. How does CAT look? All right, let's take a look. So CAT, look here. My whole thing is I trade really short term. I like to scalp things. I can't hold things really long because I get I get nervous, I guess. But uh, so I really have never gotten to the point where I can really swing trade really well and hold things for a long time. I don't know. I just don't have the money or the patience. But cat's an interesting stock, and it's tough to trade because of spreads and spreads on the options. I mostly do options because your risk is defined. Um, but today in that GM trade, I should have done common shares because the 20 cents would have been great on 1,000 shares. It's $200, good for the day. But yeah, cat is tough. It's tough to do because it's expensive. It's tough to do on common shares, and then the options, you got to get it right, and it's got to move. That's the thing with it. Same with GM. GM didn't move. You could have been right all day, and the options just would have stayed the same. Anyway, okay, so on the monthly, uh, so it had an awesome month last month, right? Came back up. Now it's kind of looks like it's kind of turning trend, right? It pushed at the beginning of the month, like a lot of stocks tried to do, and then it came back in. So that's on the monthly. So it kind of gives you an idea what's going on, but it's flat here. You can see the moving averages, the 5 and the 10 are just kind of parallel. So that kind of gives you an idea. It might consolidate, for a while. So I don't know. I'd probably stay away from cat. But let's see what the weekly's doing. It went inside week, tried to break to the upside, never broke to the downside. It put in a shooter last week. So you can see here that you'd want, if you saw this shooter break to the downside, you'd think you'd see some downside movement. But you've got the moving averages pointing up on the weekly. So again, tough to say. Earnings coming up in a couple weeks. Daily. Let's see. So daily, kind of red hammer, and a huge red, thick red hammer, and then came down today, but came up off. This is the 20-day, and that's what's considered a holy grail setup. So on the daily, it looks really good. It gave you a good green hammer today, and then essentially bounced off of the 20-day. So you could look for some continuation to the upside tomorrow. And then I trade the hourlies. What I do is I look for continuation each day on the prices, right? And you can kind of see here, just kind of going back here. See how this went inside a couple days ago? Was it Thursday? You see what happened. It never broke the next day. It never broke to the upside. It opened here, right in the middle of the range, and it tried to go up and failed, right? And then it broke here to the downside. I'm not sure where the VWAP was at the time, but I'm sure it was pretty close because that was under the VWAP on Thursday. And then, Friday was a pretty brutal day, but you could have shorted it right there as it broke that line. And then, boom, what was that? 156 all the way down to 153. So 3 points right there. So anyway, I mostly look at the dailies. So boom, daily, potential. So you could trade a break of that, right? But you have to know your risk. I mean, the range of that bar is 278. I wouldn't trade that without putting a stop there. So it's a 278 risk, and you don't really, it's hard to say where it's going to go at this point. And then you can see how it finished the day. Did it finish inside? High of 153.65? Nope, didn't finish inside. It actually took out that high and kind of came in a little bit. So tough to say. I wouldn't trade it tomorrow, personally. I mean, but you can try to trade it off that daily hammer. So hopefully that helps, my friend. What a daily. If you zoom out, you should see a cup and handle pattern too. Let's see how tomorrow goes. Yeah, man. Let me zoom out on the daily for you. Oh yeah, look at that. See, I mean, there's definite potential there, man. I mean, nice cup there. Like I said, the handle, kind of break there. Where's that 156 again? And that's a good spot, right? That's a good spot for it to break. I think you're okay with trying to call. I mean, like I said, as long as you don't load up on calls and go crazy with it, I mean, you definitely got a shot for it either gapping up tomorrow or doing something. I mean, it had a nice daily pattern off the, it didn't hit the 200-day, which is fine. It doesn't really matter. It hit the 20 and came up, so good. I mean, that's not a bad trade. Appreciate the questions. Appreciate everybody showing up and checking it out. I think I'm just going to do this every night. It helps me to look at stocks, and then if I get questions, I don't know, it gives me a chance to kind of see what my opinions are, and then I'm sure I'll get good feedback from everybody else too, and just kind of see what they're thinking and how they're looking at it. Like the cup and pattern, I didn't even zoom out and look at it. I'm not that good at looking at those type of daily patterns. Like K-Pack is really good at it. Um, I don't trade those patterns so much. I really kind of zoom in and mostly just trade the 60s. And, but I will trade a daily pattern like today, like what was it, Disca? I missed that today, but that was a perfect setup when everything was going short this morning. Put in that nice topping tail yesterday, and then, what was that? 32.89, 32.80. I mean, on a stock like this, that only ranges a big day is $1, 80 cents is pretty awesome trade. So. Any other questions? Well, I appreciate everybody checking out this video. I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna try to do this Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday evenings, and then Sunday evenings. Just kind of go through some stocks and kind of show that, and then I'll post my charts and ideas to Twitter afterward. I tried to do it yesterday simultaneously, and I just kind of, that didn't really make any sense. So I thought I could multitask it, but couldn't. Anyway, appreciate everybody for jumping in, and hope you have a great night. And if you're trading tomorrow, hope you have a great trading day. Talk to y'all later. Of course, not to figure out how to shut this down. Funny.